Let me keep this simple because we are tight and we have people you have to hear from. There is a new political reality we are dealing with. I am old now. I've been through a lot of campaigns, a lot of situations. I was in the federal government, I was in the state government. This is different. You have an activist federal government that is an enemy of the state of New York. And we've never had that before. This is an extreme conservative. It's not just Democrat, Republican. These are extreme conservatives like we have never seen. And they are activists using the federal government to advance their extreme conservative agenda, and they are enemies of the state of New York. Not only do they not believe what we believe and believe the opposite, but structurally, politically, they're doing what they can to hurt the state of New York. That's what that SALT provision is in the tax code. That didn't just happen. 12 states get a tax increase in their tax reform bill that supposedly cut taxes. 12 states are all Democratic, all states that Trump lost. The state that gets cut the most is the state of New York. They are literally going to try to make us economically less competitive. So what do? Two things. You elect a Democratic Congress because you have to stop this madman president who is now driving the train. Second, we need a Democratic Senate to enact state laws to negate what they're doing. And look, when I say a new reality, in the old days, the federal government worried about defense and they worried about foreign policy, right? And we had great debates about defense and foreign policy, but that's what the federal government did. The county executive will tell you that. Give the county executive. This is no longer about just foreign policy and defense. This federal government is trying to dictate the fundamental way this state operates. And if we don't have a state senate that can pass laws that reverse what the federal government is doing, they're going to change the very nature of the state. So when we're talking about a state senate, we're talking about the fundamental structure of this state. We're talking about a woman's right to choose. They overturned Roe v. Wade, which Kavanaugh will. That's why they picked him. We go back to pre-1973. There is no other law that says a woman has a right to choose besides Roe v. Wade. That's it. They overturn it, we're going to need a state law. We don't have a state law unless we have a Democratic Senate, because a Republican Senate will never make it happen. Period. They could reverse our gun laws in Washington. They could determine that the Second Amendment is overlapping, and they could try to negate our state laws. We would have to pass new gun laws if they were to do that, happen to do that. Number three, they've already said they want to end the labor movement as we know it. They started it with public employees with the Janus decision. They're coming after private employees. The union movement may not exist but for state laws, and we'll make sure in this state we always have a strong union movement. Leave them to their own devices. They'll reverse all the environmental progress that we've made. We'll have offshore drilling off the coast of Long Island. We'll lose control of our water quality, which we've made tremendous progress on. We won't have the infrastructure funds to do the Long Island Railroad, etc. This is not just about the state senate as we knew the state senate. This is the state senate as a buffer to the activism in Washington. That's what the state senate is. And that's why it is critical, and more critical than ever before. Now, you're going to hear the big lie, the great lie from the Republicans, especially on Long Island. What they're going to say is, oh, you can't elect Democrats. You know what happens when you elect Democrats to the Senate? They're going to be all New York City-based socialist Democrats, and they're going to raise your taxes, and we need the good Long Island Republicans for fiscal conservatism. Otherwise, the socialists are going to come in your house through the window at night and do all sorts of terrible things. That's what they're going to say. Oh, they're going to be run by the New York City mayor. That is the great lie. There are a couple of other great lies that the farmer told Jay, but I'll leave those out. That is just a great lie. It is the Democratic Party that made this economy the strongest economy in the history of the state of New York. And we'll never forget that. We have more private sector jobs than the state has ever had, over 8 million. Long Island has over 1 million jobs, the highest number of jobs in the history of Long Island. We did that, not the Republicans. It is the Democrats who brought the property tax cap and are controlling taxes in the state of New York, not the Republicans. There is no ghost. Andrea Stewart Cousins is going to be the head of the Senate. Andrea Stewart Cousins is from a county called Westchester. Westchester is not in New York City.